Finally, it has happened. Aaron Rodgers will be a New York Jets, Jet. Aaron Rodgers is a New York Jet and will be the starting quarterback for the New York Jets in 2023 and possibly beyond. The trade is final. The trade is here. It is happening, and the Jets can relax. And Jets fans can finally relax because honestly, I was a little bit worried it wasn't going to happen. I was worried that Jets fans were going to see some disappointment, that Aaron Rodgers was not going to come through with his promise. But Aaron Rodgers will be a New York Jet. It has happened. In this video, I'm going to discuss the impact of Aaron Rodgers to the Jets, how Aaron Rodgers will fit the Jets, the offense, the impact he'll have on the football team in 2023, how great he still is, how good is Aaron Rodgers still. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Packers, Jordan Love, my thoughts on Jordan Love, the Packers moving forward, the Packers draft plans, the Jets draft plans, everything else in detail in this video. So before I do that, Gronk spike the like button. Make sure to subscribe for more NFL breaking news just like this. And also, more importantly than anything else, let me know in the comment section below your thoughts. I want to hear from you. Your thoughts. Will this be a success for the Jets? Will this be a failure for the Jets? Will this be a success for the Packers? Who won the trade? Let me know in the comment section below because there's a lot of nuance to this discussion depending on how you look at the deal. So let's break the news. That is from Adam Schefter. The trade compensation per sources, says Adam Schefter, the GOAT. He says that the Jets get Aaron Rodgers, the bad man. Pick number 15, a 2023 fifth round pick, which is 170th overall. For pick number 13, so they move up 2 spots in the first round, do the Packers. A 2023 second round pick. This is this year, Thursday, or actually Friday is the second round. 42nd overall. A 6th round pick, 207th overall. A conditional 2024 second round pick. That becomes, listen carefully, a second round pick next year that becomes a first if Aaron Rodgers plays at least 65% of the plays. So basically, that's an injury compensation. If Aaron Rodgers doesn't play 65% of the snaps, it's because he got injured. There's really no other reason that Aaron Rodgers would not play 65% of the snaps. So the way I look at it is that the Jets give up their first this year for the Packers' first round pick. So the Packers move up a couple picks this year. And then what it is essentially a first and a second. A first next year and a second this year for Aaron Rodgers. That's really what it is. A first next year, a second this year, and the nice little taste of going up to 13 instead of 15. But I don't really see a huge difference there. Maybe they had a reason to jump above my Patriots at pick number 14. Maybe the Green Bay Packers really wanted a wide receiver. I don't know. Maybe a tackle. Because I wouldn't know exactly what they want at 13. Maybe they just feel like that value in this draft specifically, the higher the pick, the better. And maybe they'll even try to trade in to the top 10. Not exactly sure what the Packers are aiming for there. But once again, the details. That pick 13 for 15 swap is kind of interesting. I'm not really sure exactly what they're aiming for. Maybe they want to get the best receiver on the board over New England at pick 14. Or maybe they want a tackle, or maybe they want a pass rusher that slips, or maybe even if one of the elite corners slips, or whoever, right? I don't think it's going to be for a quarterback, obviously. They have their guy, Jordan Love. So let's discuss Aaron Rodgers. What is Aaron Rodgers right now? The former 4-time MVP, the future Hall of Famer, the Super Bowl champ, the Super Bowl MVP, the touchdown leader extraordinaire. What is Aaron Rodgers, number 12, the bad man in 2023? Well, to me, Aaron Rodgers is still an awesome quarterback, and I'd put him in the borderline elite category. I think he's still a very good quarterback in this league. I still think he's top 10. I still think he's top 7 or 8 at least in this league. I think he had a rough season last year, and even by putting it in rough, that is like by his standards, okay? Based on the last couple of years that he was having MVP, back-to-back, 48 touchdowns, 37 touchdowns, doing his thing, leading the Packers far into the playoffs. That last year was a bit of a tough season for him. Right? Down in completion percentage, down in yardage, down in touchdowns drastically to 26 compared to 37, up in interceptions. Aaron Rodgers was not the same productive player, but I think a lot of it had to do with his situation. He lost his number 1 wide receiver, Davante Adams, who is one of the best in the game, left to the Raiders. Inside that wide receiver position, they added 2 rookies to be premier targets in the offense. They brought in veterans like Randall Cobb. They tried to make it work. Allen Lazard tried to step into that number 1 receiver position, but it took some time for him to find chemistry with any of the receivers, and my guy Christian Watson stepped up, but that took some time. Even he dealt with injuries throughout the year, so really, Rodgers just didn't have that go-to guy consistently, at least until later in the year. And even then, the receiving core was a bit inconsistent, and they lacked the nuance, experience to work with Rodgers like Davante Adams had. And overall, not a very good receiving core. Good O-line, all that, good running game, but the offense just lacked anything substantial in a drop-back passing sense because their receivers weren't very good, and I think there was disconnect between what Matt LaFleur wanted, what Aaron Rodgers wanted, and what they thought this offense should be. And I think that will be a little bit different with the Jets. I still think when you look at Rodgers physically, throws the ball really well, exceptionally well, still has top 10 arm strength, still has elite accuracy, still has great touch. I think the best thing he does at this point is mental. I think he's very good in the mental aspects of the game. With Tom Brady retiring, I think Aaron Rodgers is the smartest quarterback in football right now. The way that he situates the offense, the way that he dictates tempo is extremely important to his game. I think he is the best in football at dictating the pace of the game. And Rodgers typically is a guy that goes very slow, but he likes to control the ball, and he's very good at getting people to come off sides with his, ability to just with his cadence, get people to jump. He's very good at capitalizing off of that. I mean, Rodgers does so many of the nuances and the little things and the communication of the position extremely well. Obviously, he's good at moving within the pocket. He's not quite the athlete he used to be in that regard, but can still step around and step throughout the pocket to make nice throws. Of course, he's always had the ability and still has the arm to be able to contort his body without having to set his feet to be able to make an accurate throw. So Rodgers is still playing at an elite level, in my opinion. I think a lot of it had to do with motivation, disruption within him and the franchise, the coach, all that stuff. I think there was just a lot of friction, and then the situation around him was not at his best. Similar to Tom Brady in 2019 with the Patriots, from my perspective as a Patriots fan, just was working with crap, and I think was tired of that situation. I think a lot is similar with Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to go to the Jets. I think he's going to have a very good year. I think he's going to be better than he was last year. Now, some of that comes down to the coaching relationship with Hackett, who I think he really likes, and I think Hackett's going to do a lot of the things that is kind of back to basics, kind of old school, foundational, West Coast offensive stuff that Aaron Rodgers seems to very much enjoy, dating back to his days with Mike McCarthy. I think that's going to be a big part of the offense. You're, of course, going to have the zone running scheme that Rodgers works really well off of play action. I think you've got weapons with the Jets like a number 1 receiver in Garrett Wilson, who is not really like a vertical threat, but does have some similarities to a Davante Adams, where he's a very precise and wicked route runner and can get off the line of scrimmage, win on his releases. I think he's going to have a great year. They don't really have great receivers around Garrett Wilson, but they did bring in Allen Lazard, who Rodgers really has a great rapport with, even though he's not a great talent at receiver. I'm not sure what's going on with Corey Davis, but that's the type of guy, if he could stay healthy, that could really benefit from Aaron Rodgers, especially vertically down the field. And their tight end situation is fine. Breece Hall should benefit from having Rodgers as his quarterback in an Aaron Jones sense. We know Breece Hall can catch the football very well when he's back from injury. So you look at this offense, I think they have pretty much everything. I don't think they have like elite talent around Rodgers, but they've got very good players and they don't really have any holes. The one area where they will need to pick somebody, I think, is right tackle in the first round. So at number 15, I think they're going to be able to pick a right tackle, whether that be, Johnson, or that be maybe they go with, I don't know, like Jones, one of the Joneses, I guess. They could go with Wright, who I really like, from Tennessee. That would make a lot of sense. But whoever they think is best for that spot, there's like 5 guys in that tackle situation and conversation that I think are deserved of like top 25, top 20 picks in this draft. So I think they're going to get one of those tackles. It's just a matter of their preference, right? Skoronski is another one that I don't know if he's a tackle or a guard, but he might be able to fit with the Jets given the kind of want to have a West Coast type zone kind of blocking type of guy. So the Jets are going to get a lineman. Second round, they don't really need a lot. I think that's something where you can afford to give up picks for that quarterback. You can afford, because you really need a tackle and everything else is just icing on the cake. Like, could you use depth at the D-line position? Could you use depth at other O-line positions? Could you use maybe a better tight end or, like upgrades at certain spots? Yeah, sure. Like nickel, corner, I don't know. Maybe safety, I don't know. Maybe. But like, these are all like later round picks that you'll just be adding depth to. They don't have a lot of priority first string, second string guys that they really need to bring into this team. It was really about getting the quarterback, and that's going to make them a true contender. And this is going to be Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion, most complete team that he's had in many years. I think from a defensive standpoint, I'm not a huge fan of Robert Saleh's scheme, but he has all the talent in the world to operate that scheme. I'm not the biggest fan of Robert Saleh in general. I think from a head coaching standpoint, I'd rather have Matt LaFleur than Robert Saleh. I really would. I'm not a huge fan of his. I'm not a huge fan of his clock management. I think he's a very big rah-rah guy, and he's good in that manner, and he gets players motivated, but I don't think he's necessarily the best schematic coach. But I don't think that really matters. I think as long as his defense is playing well and he can get these players to play hard, I think he can get buy-in. And then from Aaron Rodgers' standpoint, he's just got to have the offense humming. And yeah, maybe there is a little bit of bumps in the road early on for the Jets offensively to figure out what's going to work with all these skill players and what's going to work with Rodgers and what their preference is. And you're hopeful that Rodgers comes in with an open kind of slate and mind, and that he can do, just do what he has to do to get this team to win. Hopefully he's not kind of hard-headed and it's not his way or the highway Russell Wilson type of deal, right? Hopefully it's an open mind like Tom Brady with the Bucs. That's kind of what you're hoping for. But overall, man, the Jets are one of the most talented teams in the NFL, one of the most talented rosters in the NFL. I, as a Pats fan, am, kind of upset about this because on one hand, I kind of wanted to see Aaron Rodgers be successful, but not with the Packers, but not in my division. But then at the same time, I wanted like the Jets to still suck, but I respect a lot of the players. I like a lot of the players, man. And I think the Jets got a really talented team. And I'm just not sure how long this is going to last. Like, is it going to be 1 year? Is it going to be 2 years? That's really the question for me with Aaron Rodgers. Is this worth it for just one season? And that's debatable. Does he stick around for 2 years? So overall, when you look at what the Packers were able to get from this deal, getting a first-round pick next year, when Aaron Rodgers might not even be playing next year. Like, that's a big thing, right? I think that the Packers got a pretty good return, considering that Rodgers did not want to play for them. I just don't think Rodgers was going to play for them. I think, and they had to really make a decision on Jordan Love. They did. So you have to look at it as Jordan Love has his 5th-year option. They've got to make a decision here within the next week of whether they want to pick that up. I think they will. because I think Jordan Love is going to be their quarterback for the next 2 years at the very least, and then they'll figure it out from there. But this at least allows them more leeway to get rid of Rodgers' contract, work on the rest of the roster, use money at other spots probably next year, and then be able to build around Jordan Love. And you still got a ton of picks to build within the next 2 years. And I've been really studying teams and how well they've done in the draft. The Packers are a pretty good team in the draft in recent years. So I feel like Green Bay is going to have a really good foundation and situation to build around the love affair of Jordan Love. Add receivers, get a tight end for him, build up that defense. Now, I think a big spotlight for the Packers goes on to their coaching staff. How does Matt LaFleur do now that Jordan Love is gone? You know, how much more pressure does this defense take on Joe Barry with Aaron Rodgers gone? Because I think there was a lot, like special teams was kind of crap for a couple of years there. So a lot more pressure goes on to every other area and player on this team now that Aaron Rodgers is gone. But a lot of pressure is also lifted off of the Packers because people don't expect them to win right away. So they can build this team the way they want it, and we're willing to give them a little bit of time. At least I am. So I think Jordan Love, they'll pick up his 5th-year option. He'll be playing on cheap money this year, $20 million next year, which is relatively still fairly cheap for the 5th-year option. And then the Jets, the only consideration is, does Rodgers play past 2023? Maybe he also plays 2024 if this season goes well. I would expect him probably to play. So, man, I think the Jets are getting a great quarterback. I think they're going to get a guy that's motivated, that's willing to prove the Packers and the world wrong. That is the type of edge Aaron Rodgers has carried throughout his career. As a Pats fan, I'm not thrilled about this, at least for 2023, but the Jets have been waiting for a quarterback for a long time, and I don't think this is a Brett Favre situation. I think this guy can still play at a very high level. And the only question I will say about Rodgers' game is we saw him get hurt last year. That certainly had an impact on his game. I do wonder, he has always been a little bit of a smaller guy. And I do wonder at an older age if he can still take the impact and the hits that he used to take, given that he isn't as mobile, he can't really move as well as he used to, and he's a little bit more fragile given just the age, right? So I do wonder if he can hold up throughout the next couple of years, given that he's basically like 40 years old. So Aaron Rodgers to the Jets, big news. I think that looking at it, the Packers moving up ahead of the Patriots, that would have to signal that they're probably going to take a receiver, even though they never take receivers. Like, I thought they might go tight end initially. Maybe now, does this mean they go with a receiver? And because why would they want to get to 13? Is that just the value of it? I'm not exactly sure. Could they still go with a guy like a tight end? Could they still go with maybe an edge player? That's possible. And then for the Jets, I think they're going to go tackle 100% in the first round. But let me know in the comment section below, guys, what you think. Let me know if you're happy as a Jets fan. Let me know if you're happy as a Packers fan. It's Mitch. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to Gronk spike the like button and subscribe. Peace.